Welcome to Department of Distance and Continuing Education, University of Delhi, Masters of Business Administration, Semester 1, Core Course, MBA FT 6104, Accounting for Managers. Lesson 5, Analysis of Accounting Information. 5.1, Learning Objectives. After reading this lesson, students will be able to understand the concept of ratio and ratio analysis, forms of expressing ratios, significance of ratio analysis, liquidity ratios, long-term solvency ratios, profitability ratios, activity ratios. 5.2 Introduction. The users of financial statements, shareholders, owners, investors, management, employees, lenders, competitors, government and regulatory agencies, auditors, etc. are always interested in understanding and interpreting the meaning of financial information contained in the financial statements, which is possible only by understanding the relationship between various financial variables contained in balance sheet and statement of profit and loss. Such analysis is known as the accounting ratio analysis. Ratio analysis helps in identifying the patterns and trends in income, expenses, sales growth, and helps to predict the future financial position and results, profit or loss. 5.3 Understanding accounting ratio and analysis of accounting ratios. Ratio. It is a mathematical expression of indicating relationship between two interdependent quantities which can be financial items or variables in the financial statements or two accounting figures. Accounting ratio. When ratio is calculated between two financial or accounting variables on the basis of information given in the financial statements, balance sheet, profit and loss account such as profit, sales, assets, liabilities, debtors, creditors, etc. Accounting ratio analysis. It is the mechanism of studying relationship among various financial variables such as profit, sales, assets, liabilities, debtors, creditors with the help of accounting ratios. It is a process of determining and interpreting relationships between financial variables given in the financial statements to obtain an understanding of trends and making future predictions of the financial performance and position of a business enterprise. 5.4 Expressing accounting ratios in different forms. Accounting ratios can be expressed in the following forms. Number 1, pure ratio is expressed as a quotient such as current ratio, quick ratio, etc. Number 2, percentage. Ratio is expressed in the form of percentage such as net profit ratio, gross profit ratio, return on investment, etc. Times. Ratio is expressed in number of times a financial variable in terms of another financial variable such as debtor turnover ratio, creditor turnover ratio, inventory turnover ratio, etc. 5.5 Objectives of ratio analysis. Ratio analysis is done with the following objectives: making understanding of financial information presented in financial statement very simple and precise, facilitating determination of both liquidity and long-term solvency of the business enterprise, assist in determining the operating efficiency, facilitating analysis of profitability, comparative study which can be either intra-firm of the same entity over different periods or inter-firm from one entity to another comparisons. 5.6 Significance of ratio analysis. Ratio analysis offers the following advantages. Number 1, determining operating efficiency. Ratio analysis helps in assessing and evaluating liquidity, short-term solvency and profitability of a business enterprise. Number 2, inter-firm comparison and intra-firm comparison of performance. When performance is compared with the performance of other business organization in the same industry, it is called inter-firm comparison. While if the performance of same organization over different years is compared, or performance of different divisions or segments within the same organization is compared, it is called intra-firm comparison. Accounting ratio facilitates both inter-firm and intra-firm comparisons. Number 3. Helps in analysis of financial position and performance. Through ratios, users of financial information can analyze the financial statements to know financial position and performance of a business enterprises. There are many stakeholders such as bankers, regulators, investors, tax authorities, creditors, owners, management, etc., who are interested in knowing the financial performance and position of the business enterprise. Number 4. Helps in making forecast. Accounting ratios helps to identify the trends in financial performance or activities of the organization, which helps in future planning and forecasting. Number 5. Simplifies accounting information. Ratio analysis. Number 5. Retake. Number 5. Simplifies accounting information. Ratio summarizes the results of detailed and complicated information in a very precise manner. Number 6. Spotting or locate weak areas. Accounting ratios can be used to locate the weak areas where the business is not performing well as compared to past years or others in the industry. Therefore, management can take prompt corrective actions to improve the performance in those areas. 5.7. Limitations of ratio analysis. Besides many advantages, ratio analysis suffers from the following disadvantages. Number 1. No standard ratio. There is no benchmark against which actual ratios can be compared, determining whether a ratio is favorable or adverse. Number 2. Reliability issues. Ratios are calculated on the basis of information given in the financial statements, which is not futuristic but relates to past only. Further, if the information available is not, then ratios will be incorrectly calculated. Therefore, one cannot completely rely on ratios to make any future economic decisions. Number 3. Qualitative aspects are ignored. Ratios considers only quantitative factors, and all the qualitative factors such as efficiency of the management, customer satisfaction level, etc. are ignored, which are also to be considered in future decision making. Number 4. Incomparable in case of different financial reporting framework. Different entities within the same industry may follow different financial reporting framework, having different policies and procedures for preparing and presenting financial statements, due to which amount of financial items such as sale, profit, current assets, etc. would also differ. Thus, accounting ratios of different business organizations cannot be compared as they are based on information derived from different accounting policies and methods. Number 5. Ignores changes in price level. Since accounting is based on the historical cost concept, the assets are carried at historical cost minus accumulated depreciation and not on their current market value prevailing in the relevant market. Number 6. Scope for manipulation and window dressing. Accounting cannot prevent the inherent risk of window dressing by the internal management to modify the financial performance and position to gain undue advantage at the cost of users. Thus, manipulative information will make ratios inaccurate, leading to incorrect calculation of ratios, affecting the economic decisions taken on the basis of such incorrect ratios. Number 7. Personal judgment. Since recording of transaction and events, preparation of financial statements is largely influenced by personal judgments of management, therefore accounting ratios calculated on the basis of such information are not comparable and are biased. 5.8. Types of ratios. Ratios are classified into the following types. Number 1. Liquidity or short-term solvency ratios. These are the ratios which are concerned with evaluating the ability of a business organization to meet its short-term financial obligations or current liabilities which are to be settled within the normal operating cycle or 12 months from the reporting date on time. It includes the following ratios. Number 1, current ratio, which explains the relationship between current assets and current liabilities. Number 2, liquidity asset test. Number 2, retake. Number 2, liquid asset test, quick ratio, relationship between liquid or quick asset and current liabilities. Number 2, solvency or long-term solvency ratios. These are the ratios which are concerned with evaluating the long-term financial leverage and solvency of the business organization. They depict the ability of business to repay the long-term financial obligations such as debentures, long-term bank loan, public deposits. It includes the following ratios. Number 1, debt to equity or debt equity ratio. DE, relationship between shareholders funds and debt. Number 2, total asset to debt ratio, relationship between total asset and debt. Number 3, proprietary ratio, relationship between shareholders funds and total assets. Number 4, interest coverage ratio, relationship between interest and earnings before interest. These ratios are concerned with assessment of capital structure, sources and application of funds. Number 3, activity or turnover ratios. These are the ratios which are concerned with evaluating how efficiently the entity has utilized the resources in the business operations. It includes the following ratios. Number 1, inventory turnover ratio, relationship between cost of revenue from operations and average inventory. Number 2, debtor trade receivables turnover ratio, relationship between net credit sales or credit revenue from operations and average trade receivables. Number 3, creditor or trade payables turnover ratio, relationship between net credit purchases and average trade payables including creditors and bills payables. Number 4, working capital turnover ratio, relationship between net sales and working capital. Fourth, profitability. These are the ratios which are concerned with evaluating the earning capacity of business organization as a return on resources used. It includes the following ratios. Number 1, gross profit ratio, relationship between gross profit and sales. Number 2, operating ratio, relationship between operating cost and sales. Number 3, operating profit ratio, relationship between operating profit and sales. Number 4, net profit ratio, relationship between net profit and sales. Number 5, return on investment, relationship between profit and capital employed. 5.9, liquidity or short-term solvency ratios. Liquidity ratios are concerned with determining the ability to meet its short-term financial obligations or current liabilities which are to be settled within the normal operating cycle or 12 months from the reporting date on time. It includes the following ratios. Number 1, current ratio. It is a ratio which is concerned with explaining the relationship between the current assets and current liabilities. It evaluates the ability of a business organization to meet or settle its short-term financial obligations or current liabilities on time from the realization of current assets. It is expressed in the form of pure ratio. Current ratio can be expressed as follows. Current ratio is equal to current assets upon current liabilities. Idle or acceptable current ratio is 2:1. Current assets must be at least double the amount of current liabilities so as to provide a sufficient cover for current liabilities. High current ratio indicates better liquidity. However, very high current ratio indicates poor credit worthiness among the suppliers and creditors and poor operational efficiency. Current assets. These are the assets which are expected to be utilized, realized, or converted into cash and cash equivalents within normal operating cycle or within 12 months from the reporting date, whichever is higher. It includes short-term loans and advances. Number 2. Current investments into shares and securities of other entities. Number 3. Inventories excluding loose tools and stores and spares in the form of raw material, work in progress, finished goods, stock in trade. Number 4. Trade receivables, sum of bill receivables and sundry debtors. Number 5. Cash and cash equivalents. Credit balance in current account with bank, cash in hand, time deposits of up to 3 months, check or drafts in hand and other marketable securities. Number 6. Other current assets, advance given to suppliers of raw material, prepaid expenses, accrued interest, etc. Current liabilities. These are the liabilities which are expected to be settled or repayable through outflow of economic resources within 12 months from the reporting date or within the period of normal operating cycle. It includes number 1. Short-term borrowings, short-term bank loans, cash credit and bank overdraft. Number 2. Short-term provisions, provision for discount on debtors, provision for income taxation, provision for doubtful debts, etc. Number 3. Trade payables, sum of bill payable and sundry creditors. Number 4. Other current liabilities not included in the above categories. Other current liabilities includes the following: current maturities of long-term loans or borrowings, accrued interest earned but not due and not received, interest accrued and due, earned but not received, outstanding expenses, outstanding salary, outstanding rent, etc. Unpaid dividend, calls in advance, advance received for call money on shares, etc. Operating cycle. It is the time span between the acquisition of resources, raw material, stock in trade, labor for processing or production of goods and their conversion into cash and cash equivalents after sale and receipt of cash from debtors. Note: if the normal operating cycle cannot be determined or not given in the question, then take it as 12 months for classifying assets and liabilities as current asset and non-current. Working capital, the amount of capital which is used in the meeting day-to-day expenses and payment to suppliers. It refers to amount by which current assets exceeds current liabilities. Formula for working capital is given as: working capital is equal to current asset minus current liabilities. Example: from the following information, calculate current ratio. Particulars amount: debtors 3,60,000, insurance prepaid 80,000, cash at bank 1 lakh, treasury bills 1 lakh, plant and machinery 10 lakh, bills payable 40,000, creditors 2 lakh, long-term bank loan 8 lakh, raw material 1,60,000, outstanding salary 1,60,000. Solution: current assets is equal to debtors plus insurance prepaid plus cash at bank plus treasury bills plus raw material is equal to 3,60,000, 80,000 plus 1 lakh plus 1 lakh plus 1,60,000 is equal to 8 lakh. Current liabilities is equal to bills payable plus creditors plus outstanding salary is equal to 40,000 plus 2 lakh plus 1,60,000 is equal to 4 lakh. Current ratio is equal to current assets upon current liabilities is equal to 8 lakh divided by 4 lakh is equal to 2:1. Here the current ratio is equal to the idle current ratio. Quick or liquid ratio or acid test ratio. This ratio is concerned with evaluating the current liability of the business organization to meet its short-term financial obligations or current liabilities which arises within the normal operating cycle or 12 months from the reporting date. It studies the relationship between liquid assets and current liabilities. It is a better, more prudent and strict indicator of liquidity or short-term solvency as compared to the current ratio because it does not take into account the blocked assets such as prepaid expenses and inventory which cannot be used to pay the current liabilities. It is expressed in the form of a pure ratio. Liquid or quick ratio or acid test ratio is equal to liquid or quick asset, current asset minus prepaid expenses minus inventory upon current liabilities. Ideal ratio 1:1. Liquid assets must be at least equal to the amount of current liabilities to make their payment on time. Liquid assets. These assets are more liquid as compared to current assets and constitutes mainly cash and cash equivalents or assets which can be converted into cash and cash equivalent within normal operating cycle or 12 months, whichever is higher. Liquid assets or quick assets is equal to current assets minus prepaid expenses minus inventory. Prepaid expenses and inventory are deducted from current assets to obtain the amount of liquid assets because inventory takes time in production and sale to convert in cash and cash equivalent after recovery from trade receivables and prepaid expenses are already been paid to outsiders and cannot be used to pay the outsiders and cannot be readily convertible into cash. Liquid assets includes the following assets: short-term loans and advances, current investment into shares and securities of the other enterprises or entities, trade receivables, sum of sundry debtors and trade receivables, cash and cash equivalent, cash in hand, credit balance in current account at bank, time deposit of up to 3 months, checks or drafts in hand and other marketable securities. Other current assets other than prepaid expenses. Example: consider the following information. Current assets 12 lakh, inventories 2 lakh 40,000, working capital 10 lakh 8,000. Determine quick ratio. Solution: we know that quick assets is equal to current assets minus inventories other than loose tools and spares minus prepaid expenses is equal to 12 lakh minus 2 lakh 40,000 is equal to 9 lakh 60,000. Current liabilities is equal to current assets minus working capital is equal to 12 lakh minus 10 lakh 8,000 is equal to 1 lakh 92,000. Quick ratio is equal to current assets or liquid assets upon current liabilities is equal to 9 lakh 60,000 divided by 1 lakh 92,000 is equal to 5:1. Current ratio versus quick ratio. Basis of distinction is given in the first column. Current ratio details are given in the second, and quick ratio, liquid ratio or acid test ratio in the third column. On the basis of relationship, current ratio express the relationship between current assets and current liabilities, while quick ratio explains the relationship between liquid assets, quick assets and current liabilities. On the basis of evaluation, current ratio shows ability to pay current liabilities out of current assets which are to be settled within period of 12 months from the reporting date, that is 31st March, or within the period of normal operating cycle, whichever is higher. Ability quick ratio shows the ability to meet current liabilities immediately out of liquid assets. On the basis of idle ratio, current ratio is 2:1 and quick ratio is 1:1. On the basis of measure, the short-term current ratio measures the short-term financial position or liquidity. Quick ratio measures or shows better and more prudent Then current ratio, as it excludes blocked current assets such as inventory and prepaid expenses. 5.10 Solvency ratios. Solvency ratios are also known as long-term liquidity ratios, as these are concerned with assessment of capital structure, sources and application of funds. These are the ratios which are concerned with evaluating the long-term financial leverage and solvency of business organization. They depict the ability of business to repay the long-term financial obligations such as debentures, long-term bank loan, public deposits. It includes the following ratios: debt to equity or debt equity ratio, relationship between shareholder funds and debt. Number 2, total asset to debt ratio shows relationship between total assets and debt. Number 3, proprietary ratio, relationship between shareholder funds and total assets. Number 4, interest coverage ratio, relationship between interest and earning before interest. Debt to equity ratio. This ratio is widely used in the industry and is concerned with analyzing the relationship between borrowed funds or long-term external debts, includes long-term loans, debentures, public deposit and long-term provisions, and owners fund or equity, proprietary funds, share equity or shareholder funds consisting of share capital and reserves and surplus. It determines the capital structure, the mix of outside debt, borrowed funds and owners funds invested in the total resources of the organization. It assesses the long-term financial soundness of the business enterprise and indicates dependency of business enterprise on external borrowed funds for financing its resources. It is expressed in the form of pure ratio. Debt equity ratio is equal to debt non-current liabilities upon equity shareholders funds. Debt includes the following items: long-term borrowings, debentures, public deposits, loan from bank. Number 2, long-term provisions, provision for gratuity, leave encashment. Number 3, deferred tax liabilities. Number 4, other non-current liabilities. Long-term borrowings. These are the borrowings that are due to be settled beyond 12 months from the reporting date 31st March or after the operating cycle period, whichever is higher. Part of long-term borrowings payable within 12 months from the reporting date or normal operating cycle period, whichever is higher. Then such borrowing is termed as current maturities of long-term debts shown under the head current liabilities and will not be considered as debt while calculating debt to equity ratio. Long-term provisions. These are the provisions for liabilities to be settled after 12 months from the balance sheet date or normal operating cycle period, whichever is higher. These are shown as line item under the head non-current liabilities in the balance sheet. Debt is equal to long-term borrowings plus long-term provisions plus deferred tax liabilities plus other long-term liabilities, or equal to total of equity and liabilities minus non-current liabilities minus current liabilities, or capital employed minus equity, that is shareholders funds. Equity is equal to share capital plus reserves and surplus. Capital employed is equal to non-current liabilities plus shareholder fund, that is share capital plus reserves and surplus. Non-current assets, tangible fixed assets, property plant equipment plus intangible fixed assets plus non-current trade investments plus deferred tax assets plus long-term loans and advances plus non-current assets. Working capital is equal to current assets minus current liabilities. Note: if there exists negative balance of profit in the statement of profit and loss under the reserves and surplus, it is deducted from reserves and surplus to calculate the shareholder funds. Example: consider the following information. Particulars amount: property, plant and equipment 16,80,000, accumulated depreciation on property, plant and equipment 2,80,000, Non-current investment in shares and securities 28,000. Long-term loans and advances to related parties 1,12,000. Current assets 7 lakh. Current liabilities 5 lakh 60,000. Long 16% long-term borrowing 8 lakh 40,000. Long-term provision for gratuity 2 lakh 80,000. Determine debt to equity ratio. Debt is equal to 16% long-term borrowings plus long-term provision for gratuity is equal to 8 lakh 40,000 plus 2 lakh 80,000 is equal to 11 lakh 20,000. Equity is equal to total assets minus total external debts is equal to 16 lakh 80,000 minus 2 lakh 80,000 plus 28,000 plus 1 lakh 12,000 plus 7 lakh minus 4 lakh 20,000 minus 1 lakh 40,000 minus 2 lakh 80,000 is equal to 5 lakh 60,000. Debt equity ratio is equal to debt non-current liabilities upon equity shareholders fund is equal to 11 lakh 20,000 divided by 5 lakh 60,000 is equal to 2:1. Total asset to debt ratio. It is the ratio which is concerned with explaining relationship between total asset, current as well as non-current and non-current liabilities of the business enterprise. It determines the proportion to which payment of long-term debt or borrowings is covered by the total assets, both current and non-current. It calculates the safety margin or cover available to the lenders or outside debt holders to recover their debts. A high total asset to debt ratio indicates higher safety margin for lenders and vice versa. It is expressed in the form of a pure ratio. Formula for total asset to debt ratio is given as follows. Total asset to debt ratio is equal to total asset, that is non-current assets, plus current assets upon debt, that is long-term debts. Total assets, these includes both non-current and current assets, which are as follows. Non-current assets, this includes the following assets: fixed assets or property, plant and equipment, and intangible assets, tangible and intangible fixed assets, capital work in progress, intangible assets under development, non-current investments in shares and securities of other entities, deferred tax assets, net of deferred tax asset and deferred tax liability, long-term loans and advances, other non-current assets not included in above. Current assets, this includes the following assets. Number 1, current investments in shares and securities of other entities. Number 2, inventories including spare parts and loose tools. Number 3, trade receivables, sum of sundry debtors and trade receivables. Number 4, cash and cash equivalents, cash in hand, credit balance in current account with bank, time deposits of up to 3 months, checks or drafts in hand, and other marketable securities. Number 5, short-term loans and advances, advance or loan given to directors, managers and employees. Number 6, other current assets such as number 6, other current assets such as prepaid insurance, prepaid rent, etc. Debts, this will include number 1, long-term borrowings, deferred tax liabilities, long-term provisions, other non-current liabilities. Proprietary ratio, this ratio is concerned with explaining the relationship between proprietors funds, shareholder funds or equity and total assets of the business enterprise, showing the financial strength and financial risk or leverage of the business. It shows the proportion of total assets funded by the shareholders' money in the form of shareholders' funds. Lenders and banks use it to identify the proportion of shareholders' funds and external borrowed funds in the total assets employed to measure safety margin or cover available to them against their funds invested in the form of loans. A very high proprietary ratio indicates that management is not using the concept of trading on equity and there is improper mix of owners' funds and borrowed funds leading to lower return on investment to equity owners. However, it indicates the safety margin for creditors and lenders, while lower ratio means inadequate cover for lenders of funds. Proprietary ratio, proprietor funds or shareholder funds or equity divided by total assets, current assets plus non-current assets. Proprietors funds or shareholders funds. This can be calculated using two approaches. Liability approach. In this approach, proprietors funds is equal to share capital, equity share capital plus preference share capital plus reserves and surplus, general reserve, security premium reserve, credit balance of surplus. Number 2, assets approach. In this approach, proprietors funds is equal to non-current assets, working capital, current assets minus current liabilities minus non-current liabilities. Interest coverage ratio. This is the most popular ratio used in the industry by professionals, credit rating agencies, as it explains the relationship between net income before interest and tax and interest on long-term borrowings or other fixed financial charges. It evaluates profit available to provide as cover against fixed financial service obligations or interest on long-term debts including preference dividend. It is expressed in number of times. A high interest coverage ratio provides a signal of high cover of profit to meet the interest payments, thereby creating a confidence among the lenders about the financial strength and earning capacity of the entity. Formula for interest coverage ratio is given as interest coverage ratio is equal to profit before interest and tax upon interest on long-term debt plus preference dividend. 5.11 Activity ratios. Inventory turnover ratios. It shows the relationship between cost of goods sold and inventory. It determines whether the investment in stock is efficiently utilized to generate sales. It depicts the number of times a business organization sells and replaces its inventory during a year. A high ratio indicates more sales per rupee of investment in the inventories. ITR is equal to cost of revenue from operations, cost of goods sold upon average inventory, opening inventory plus closing inventory divided by 2. Calculation of cost of revenue from operations or cost of goods sold. In case of a trader, cost of revenue from operations is equal to opening inventory plus net purchases, purchases minus purchase return plus direct expenses, carriage inward plus wages minus closing inventory. In case of a manufacturer, cost of revenue from operations is equal to cost of raw material consumed plus purchase of stock in trade plus changes in inventories of finished goods, work in progress, stock in trade plus direct expenses, carriage inward plus wages. Direct expenses. If no direct expenses are given in the question, then assume it to be nil. Average inventory, opening inventory plus closing inventory divided by 2. Example, consider the following information. Revenue from operations 32 lakh, average inventory 4,40,000, gross loss ratio is equal to 10%. From the above information, calculate inventory turnover ratio. Solution. Gross loss is equal to cost of revenue from operations or cost of goods sold minus revenue from operations sales. Cost of revenue from operations is equal to sales plus gross loss is equal to 32 lakh plus 1,60,000 is equal to 33,60,000. Inventory turnover ratio is equal to cost of goods sold divided by average inventory is equal to 33,60,000 divided by 4,40,000 is equal to 7.64 times. Example, consider the following information, particulars, amount in rupees. Sales 8 lakh, gross profit 2 lakh, closing stock 2,40,000, excess of closing inventory over opening inventory 80,000. Calculate the inventory turnover ratio from the above information. Solution. Sales is equal to 8 lakh, gross profit is equal to 2 lakh is equal to sales minus gross profit is equal to 8 lakh minus 2 lakh. Cost of goods sold is equal to 6 lakh. Let opening inventory is equal to X, closing inventory is equal to X plus 80,000. 2,40,000 is equal to X plus 80,000. X is equal to 1,60,000. Opening inventory is equal to 1,60,000. Average inventory is equal to 1,60,000 plus 2,40,000 divided by 2. average inventory is equal to 2 lakh. Cost of goods sold is equal to revenue minus gross profit. Cost of goods sold is equal to 8 lakh minus 2 lakh is equal to 6 lakh. Inventory turnover ratio is equal to cost of goods sold or cost of revenue from operation divided by average inventory. ITR is equal to 6 lakh divided by 2 lakh. Inventory turnover ratio is equal to 3 times. Example: consider the following financial information of Abhishek Limited. Particulars: second column for the 2021-22, in the third column for 2022-23. Closing inventory on 31st March 14 lakh and 34 lakh. Sales during the year 1 crore and 1 crore 50 lakh. Gross profit is 20% on cost of goods sold. In the year 2021-22, inventory increased by 4 lakh. Calculate inventory turnover ratio for the years 21-22 and 22-23 from the above information. Solution: gross profit is equal to 1 crore into 25 divided by 125 is equal to 20 lakh. Cost of goods sold is equal to 1 crore minus 20 lakh is equal to 80 lakh. Opening inventory is equal to 14 lakh minus 4 lakh is equal to 10 lakh. Average inventory is equal to 10 lakh plus 14 lakh divided by 2 is equal to 12 lakh. Inventory turnover ratio 21-22 is equal to 80 lakh divided by 12 lakh is equal to 6.67 times. Gross profit is equal to 1 crore 50 lakh into 25 divided by 125 is equal to 30 lakh. Cost of goods sold is equal to 1 crore 50 lakh minus 30 lakh is equal to 1 crore 20 lakh. Average inventory is equal to 14 lakh plus 34 lakh divided by 2 is equal to 24 lakh. Inventory turnover ratio for 2022-23 is equal to 1 crore 20 lakh divided by 24 lakh is equal to 5 times. So inventory turnover ratio for 22-23 is equal to 5 times. Debtor or trade receivables turnover ratio. This is one of the most popular and widely used ratio, which is concerned with explaining the relationship between credit revenue from operations, net credit sales, and average trade receivables, that is average debtors plus at average bill receivables. It shows the number of times debtors are turned over or realized in a year with respect to credit sales. That is, how efficiently and readily trade receivables are realized or converted into cash and cash equivalents. It indicates the efficiency in recovery and collection of cash from debtors. A higher ratio indicates that debts are collected more frequently, and strict credit policy as less credit period is involved or less investment in debtors is blocked. Formula for trade receivable turnover ratio DTR is given as DTR is equal to credit revenue from operations or credit sales divided by average trade receivables or average debtors plus average bill receivables divided by 2. It is expressed in times. Note 1. Note 4. Note: provision for doubtful debt is not to be deducted from sundry debtors. Credit revenue from operations, that is net credit sales, is equal to credit sales minus sales return, or is equal to revenue from operations minus cash revenue from operations. Average trade receivables is equal to opening trade receivables plus closing trade receivables divided by 2. Average trade receivables is equal to opening debtors plus closing debtors plus opening bill receivable plus closing bill receivables divided by 2. Example: consider the following information. Closing trade receivables is equal to 8 lakh, cash sales being 25% of credit sales, excess of closing trade receivables over opening trade receivables 4 lakh, revenue from operations or net sales is equal to 30 lakh. Calculate trade receivables turnover ratio from the above information. Answer: let credit sales be X, cash sales is equal to 25% of the credit sales is equal to x into 25 by 100. Cash sales is equal to 25x upon 100. Total sales is equal to cash sales plus credit sales. 30 lakh is equal to 25x by 100 plus x, or we can say 125x upon 100 is equal to 30 lakh. X will be equal to 30 lakh into 100 divided by 125 is equal to 24 lakh. Opening trade receivables is equal to closing trade receivables minus 4 lakh is equal to 8 lakh minus 4 lakh is equal to 4 lakh. Average receivables is equal to opening receivables plus closing receivables divided by 2. Average receivables is equal to 4 lakh plus 8 lakh divided by 2 is equal to 6 lakh is equal to net credit sales upon average trade receivables. Trade receivable turnover ratio is equal to 24 lakh divided by 6 lakh is equal to 4. Therefore, trade receivable turnover ratio is 4 times. Debt collection period. It shows the average time taken in collection of cash from debtors. Debt collection period is equal to 365 days or 12 months divided by trade receivable turnover ratio. Lower debt collection period is better. It is expressed in number of days or months. Trade payables turnover ratio. It explains the relationship between net credit purchases and trade payables. It indicates the number of times the trade payables are turned over as compared to credit purchases. A higher ratio implies that the enterprise has high credit worthiness among creditors and high bargaining power with suppliers. It is expressed in times. Trade payables turnover ratio is equal to net credit purchases upon average trade payables. Average trade payables is equal to opening trade payables plus closing trade payables divided by 2, or average trade payables is equal to opening creditors plus closing creditors plus opening BP plus closing BP divided by 2. Average payment period or average age of payables. It shows the credit period enjoyed by the enterprise in paying creditors. Average payment period is equal to average trade payables into number of months or days upon net credit purchases, or months or days in a year 12 or 365 divided by trade payables turnover ratio. Example, consider the following information. Opening creditors 1,25,000, opening bills payables 10,000, closing creditors 90,000, closing bills payable 5,000, purchases 9,50,000, cash purchases 1 lakh, purchase return 45,000. Determine the trade payable turnover ratio from the above information. Solution. Net credit purchases is equal to purchases minus cash purchases minus purchase return is equal to 19 lakh minus 2 lakh minus 90,000 is equal to 16 lakh 10,000. Average trade payables is equal to opening creditors plus bills payables plus closing creditors and bills payables divided by 2 is equal to 2,50,000 plus 20,000 plus 1,80,000 plus 10,000 divided by 2 is equal to 2,30,000. Trade payable turnover ratio is equal to 16,10,000 divided by 2,30,000 is equal to 7 times. Example, closing trade payable 10,80,000, net credit purchases 86,40,000, cash purchases 21,60,000. Calculate trade payables turnover ratio. Trade payable turnover ratio is equal to credit purchases divided by average trade payables. Trade payable turnover ratio is equal to 64,80,000 divided by 10,80,000 is equal to 6 times. Credit purchases is equal to net purchases minus cash purchases. 64,80,000 is equal to 86,40,000 minus 21,60,000. Working capital turnover ratio. It explains the relationship between working capital and net sales. It shows the number of times a unit of rupee invested in working capital generates sales. It determines whether working capital is effectively used in generating sales. A higher ratio implies overtrading with less use of current assets. Working capital turnover ratio is equal to revenue from operations or COGS divided by working capital. It is expressed in number of times. Revenue from operations. It is the revenue earned by the company from its operating activities. If the revenue from operation is not given, then take cost of goods sold. Working capital is equal to capital asset minus retake. Working capital is equal to current assets minus current liabilities. Consider the following information. Cost of revenue from operations or cost of goods sold is equal to 10 lakh. Current assets is equal to 5 lakh. Current liabilities is equal to 3 lakh. Determine working capital turnover ratio from the above information. Solution. Working capital is equal to current asset minus current liabilities is equal to 5 lakh minus 3 lakh is equal to 2 lakh. Therefore, working capital turnover ratio is equal to cost of revenue from operations or cost of goods sold divided by working capital is equal to 10 lakh divided by 2 lakh is equal to 5 times. Example. Consider the following financial information. Cash sales is equal to 10 lakh, credit sales is equal to 12 lakh, sales return is equal to 2 lakh, current asset is equal to 6 lakh and current liabilities is equal to 2 lakh. Determine working capital turnover ratio from the above information. Solution. Net sales is equal to cash sales plus credit sales minus sales returns is equal to 10 lakh plus 12 lakh minus 2 lakh is equal to 20 lakh. Working capital is equal to current assets minus current liabilities. Working capital turnover ratio is equal to net sales upon working capital is equal to 20 lakh divided by 4 lakh is equal to 5 times. 5.12 Profitability ratios. Gross profit ratio. It shows the relationship between gross profit and revenue from operations, net sales. It shows the average gross margin on goods sold or the services rendered in ordinary course of business. It indicates the efficiency with which production and or purchase operations and selling operations are carried on. It is used in fixing the selling price and determining the efficiency of trading activity. Gross profit ratio is equal to gross profit into 100 divided by revenue from operations. It is expressed as a percentage of net sales. Gross profit, it is calculated as follows. Gross profit is equal to revenue from operations, that is net sales, minus cost of revenue from operations, COGS. Cost of revenue from operations, it is calculated using the following. Cost of revenue from operations is equal to opening inventory excluding spare parts plus loose tools plus net purchases plus direct expenses minus closing inventory excluding spare parts and loose tools is equal to cost of material consumed plus purchase of stock in trade plus change in inventories of finished goods WIP plus stock in trade plus direct expenses. Or revenue from operations is minus gross profit. Reasons for decline or increase in gross profit ratio. Increase. This ratio increases because of the following reasons. If the selling price increases and the cost of revenue from operations is constant. If the cost of revenue from operations decreases and the selling price is constant. If there exists a combination of above two situations. Decrease. This ratio decreases if the above reasons are reversed. Operating profit ratio. It shows the relationship between operating costs incurred in running the business and related sales. It is the proportion of cost of revenue from operations and operating expenses to sales. It helps in determining the operational efficiency of the business. It is expressed as the percentage of sales or revenue from operations. A low operating ratio indicates high profit margin to meet non-operating expenses such as dividend, etc. On the other hand, a high operating ratio indicates reduction in the efficiency of business operations. It is expressed as percentage of sales or revenue from operations. Operating ratio is equal to operating cost into 100 divided by revenue from operations or net sales. Operating profit ratio is equal to operating profit into 100 divided by revenue from operations or net sales. Operating profit is equal to gross profit plus other operating income minus other operating expenses, or operating profit is equal to net profit before tax plus non-operating expense or losses minus non-operating incomes. Operating profit is equal to revenue from operations minus operating costs. Relationship between operating profit ratio and operating ratio. Operating ratio plus operating profit ratio is equal to 100%. Net profit ratio, it shows the relationship between not net profit and revenue from operations, that is net sales. It helps in determining the operating efficiency of the business operations. It indicates the actual earnings performance of the business activities. A higher net profit ratio indicates higher profitability. An increase in the ratio over the past period shows improvement in operational efficiency. It is expressed in percentage. Net profit ratio is equal to net profit after tax into 100 divided by revenue from operations, that is net sales. Net profit is equal to revenue from operations or net sales minus cost of revenue from operations minus operating expenses minus non-operating expenses plus non-operating income minus tax. Return on investment or capital employed. It shows the relationship between net profit or earnings before interest and tax with capital employed. It measures the efficiency with which the resources are being used. It is a measure of the profitability for comparison with the other businesses in the same industry. It assesses the overall performance based on the long-term fund employed in the business. It is expressed as percentage of capital employed. ROI is equal to net profit before interest, tax and dividend into 100 divided by capital employed. Computation of capital employed. It can be computed through the following two approaches. Number 1, liability approach. Under this approach, capital employed is calculated by adding the following: shareholders funds or equity, or you can say share capital plus reserves and surplus, and non-current liabilities, that is long-term borrowings including debentures, public deposits, plus long-term provisions plus deferred tax liabilities plus other non-current liabilities. Capital employed is equal to share capital plus reserves and surplus plus long-term borrowings plus long-term provisions plus deferred tax liabilities plus other non-current liabilities. Note, if the balance of surplus in the statement of profit and loss is negative, it is deducted to calculate shareholders funds. Assets approach. Under this approach, capital employed is calculated adding the following: non-current assets, that is fixed asset, tangible and non-tangible, plus deferred tax assets, plus non-current trade investments, plus long-term loans and advances, plus other non-current assets, and working capital, current assets minus current liabilities. Current assets is equal to non-current assets plus current assets minus current liabilities. 5.13 Summary: Accounting ratio analysis. It is concerned with studying relationship among various financial variables in a business with the help of accounting ratios. It is a mechanism of determining and interpreting relationship between financial variables given in the financial statements to obtain an understanding of the financial performance and position of a business enterprise. Ratio. It is a mathematical expression of relationship between two interdependent quantities which can be financial items or variables in the financial statements or two accounting figures. Accounting ratio. It is a ratio which is calculated on the basis of accounting information given in the financial statements, balance sheet, profit and loss account, such as profit, sales, assets, liabilities, debtors, creditors, etc. Forms of expressing accounting ratios. Pure percentage times. Advantages of ratio analysis. Tool for analysis of financial statements. Simplifies accounting data. Assessment of operating efficiency of business. Assists in forecasting. Identifies weak areas. Facilitates inter-firm and intra-firm comparison. Limitations of ratio analysis. Reliability of ratios. Only quantitative factors considered. No standard ratio. Non-comparable. Price level changes ignored. Window dressing and personal bias. Types of ratios. Liquidity. Short-term solvency shows the ability of the enterprise to meet its short-term financial obligations. It includes current ratio and quick ratio. Solvency or long-term solvency. Assess the long-term financial position of the enterprise. They assess the ability to meet long-term financial obligations of the enterprise. It includes debt to equity ratio, total asset to debt ratio, proprietary ratio, interest coverage ratio. Activity or turnover ratio shows how efficiently the enterprise resources are being used for business operations. It includes inventory turnover ratio, trade receivables turnover ratio, trade payables turnover ratio, working capital turnover ratio. Profitability shows the profitability of the enterprise. It includes gross profit ratio, operating profit ratio, net profit ratio, return on investment. 5.14 Glossary. Capital. It is the amount of resources invested by the owners into the business organization either in the form of cash or cash equivalents or in kind or assets. The amount can be invested in the form of cash, goods or any other asset. For business entity, capital is a liability towards the owners which is to be settled only in the event of closure or transfer of the business. In case of corporates, it is called as share capital. Drawings. It represents an amount of cash, goods or any other assets which the owner withdraws from the business for personal use. Example, if the life insurance premium of proprietor is paid from the business bank account, goods withdrawn for personal use, it will result in reduction in owner's capital. Asset. Asset is a resource controlled by the business entity from which probable future economic benefits will flow to the entity by using it for generating profits. Assets can be tangible and intangible. Tangible assets are the assets which have some physical existence. They can be seen, touched and felt, such as plant and machinery, furniture and fittings, land and building, books and periodicals, computers and laptops, vehicles. Intangible assets. Assets which have no physical existence, cannot be seen or felt, although they help to generate revenue in future and whose value is determined and restricted by the rights and expected future benefits that their possession confers upon the owners, such as goodwill, patents, trademarks, copyright, brand equity, industrial designs, other intellectual property rights, etc. Assets can be classified into current assets and non-current assets. Current assets. Assets which satisfies any of the following. It is expected to be realized in or is intended for sale or consumption in the company's normal operating cycle. It is held primarily for the purpose of being traded. It is due to be realized within 12 months after the reporting date, or it is cash and cash equivalent unless it is cash or cash equivalent unless it is restricted from being exchanged or used to settle a liability for at least 12 months after the reporting date. Current asset includes inventory, trade receivables, sundry debtors and bill receivables, prepaid expenses, current investments, cash and cash equivalents, short-term loans and advances. Non-current assets. All other assets which are not classified as current assets are non-current assets, such as plant and machinery, furniture and fittings, land and building, patent, trademark, Copyright. Non-current liabilities. All other liabilities not classified as current liabilities shall be classified as non-current liabilities, such as debentures, public deposits, long-term bank loan, inter-corporate loans, long-term loans from director. Internal liability. It refers to owner's equity, that is, all the amounts which proprietors are entitled, such as capital, general reserve, debenture redemption reserve, undistributed profits, etc. Working capital. The assets which are held to maintain the flows of revenue from operations in the form of current assets such as cash required to pay for expenses or to the creditors, inventories required to smoothen production and sale, accounts receivables, debtor and bill receivable to increase the sales, cash at bank, prepaid expenses. The total of current assets constitute the working capital of a firm, which is termed as gross working capital. Gross working capital is equal to total current assets is equal to long-term internal liabilities plus long-term debts plus current liabilities minus non-current assets. Net working capital is the excess of current assets over current liabilities. It is the amount of current assets that remain in a firm if all its current liabilities are paid. This aspect of working capital is a more realistic concept. Working capital net, current asset minus current liabilities. Thanks for listening the lesson.